pretty awesome. We ask ourselves those types of questions: motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of three, I don't want it. Today being the 24th of December, towards the end of the year, we look back at, like, during World War II, such a memorable day that both sides, they had met together. They actually had sat down and crossed lines, almost enemy lines, to share peace, to share a level of connection with each other that only human beings can do, huh?
Yeah, I was going to tell you something. Speaking of love connection, that guy that I just delivered to, we were talking, for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then he saw my sign on the back of the truck and the number and everything. And then I said, yeah, I've got signs on my truck. And he's like, okay, give me one. And I said, well, here, I'll give you, I had two in there. Pulled it out from behind the seat. Here you go. He's like, okay, I'm going to put, he said, I'll put one out there near the gate. He said, what we're doing? Put one here and one down there. And so he's going to have two of my signs out at his ranch. On his fence.
Isn't that pretty cool, huh, Dark? That other people are supporting.
So maybe when if you do come there to help me next time with that, there's going to be a load in January, and if he puts it up, you'll get to see that. So.
And yeah, a lot of us are, out there with a mentality, and it's great that other people want to, if you have a way to support local business, like, definitely do, and definitely put yourself in a place where, you have the ability to support local business, because local business is amazing. Like, people that are coming together to get through the challenges that they're going through on a daily. If we don't have businesses, then we don't have the ability to grow. We don't have the ability to focus, and we're communities out there, right? So when we put ourselves in a place where we're using what we have, and we start overcoming our challenges, and we start to get to the place inside of ourselves where we start to manifest that mentalities, then local businesses start to see it, and it's when our local businesses start to grow that they can start to help our communities out, and when we help our communities out, it's an amazing thing. And a lot of us stop ourselves from that almost, and we should be supporting that. We should be going to the smaller restaurants. We should be giving ourselves the ability to connect and to support. And that's what that is, Derek. Is those people are supporting you in your ability to do that. So how many years have you been doing this for?
$2013.
So
7 years now?
7 years, huh?
Can you believe that one?
Yeah. 7 years.
I'd say I've gotten somewhere in 7 years.
Well, there's going to continue. That's exactly what I'm doing as well too, and I'm going to be 7 years from now.
If you look at where I am right now compared to where I was,
where were you? You were starting with a truck, and doing one squeeze was an amazing amount of load, right? You had to go pick up the whole squeeze, and now you're pairing 4 squeezes in a semi, right?
What? How many I put on a semi?
Yeah, so now you're carrying...
It's 8.
You're carrying 8 of those. You would have to make 8 trips just to get that same load, huh? you had to focus with just even that same simple thing. You know, it took one load at a time, right?
It's just hard when you start with limited resources and storage, and you have a job that relies upon moving a lot of weight and product, and you don't have the kind of resources that others have, that you see things and you're like, I know
Well,
that's the best way to do this, but I can't even afford a semi of hay. You know?
well, I mean, when you first
So
started, you saw other people who had a lot more than you, right? And
yeah.
and so when you started, you started and then you just
Well, when I
tried
was
to.
learning about business, I was learning a lot of things, and I was learning how to deal with customers and how to respond to customers, and how to deal with all the different facets of the business. And when you're doing that, it's like going to school. You know, you're trying to learn a lot of things at the same time. That's hard.
Well, yeah,
That's really hard.
it's sitting down with oneself and focusing when, even when other people have stuff, right? You know, you see them, they have all these things, and you're just working with what you have, yeah?
Well, like even now, like the guy was asking me, said you're gonna get a retriever truck. I'm like, well, that thing costs a lot of money, and I don't think I'd. You have to look at it in business, and you have to say, okay, is this worth it? And I was like, you know what? Watch me stack this hay. I was like, I'll do what I need to do, and I don't use it that much. I mean, you have to do a cost benefit analysis here, because if you're doing something in business and it's a tool that you really need, like the squeeze machine in the yard. I mean, at least in the yard, would I like to have one that goes down the road? Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
at
what
least in
does
the
it
yard,
cost?
it does a lot of
What
stuff
does
there.
it cost?
And it costs a lot less than one that goes down the
But
road.
what is it?
So,
What did you
cost
just say? You said
benefit
it
analysis, that
costs.
thing's going to pay for itself a lot
Cost.
faster.
What is a cost benefit analysis, Derek?
It's when you look at the cost of something. And this is to do a lot of business. We call this a cost benefit analysis, because you're analyzing what. Say you look at it and you say, okay, I need this car to go to work. Okay, so do you need a luxury car, or do you just need a regular car? Do you need the regular car with all the bells and whistles, or do you just need a standard car? I mean, what are you going to buy? So at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, okay, I just need a standard car. I just need something that's going to get me A to B. I'm just going to use it, and I'm not going to worry about all the bells and whistles here. Or I'm going to buy it used. What I'm going to do? I mean, is it better to buy a newer car because it's getting better fuel economy, and I drive so many miles, so it would pay for. Or if you have a used car and you're like, okay, so you start putting the numbers out and you say, okay, is this worth it for me to buy something newer, or buy something particular item, or piece of equipment? Will it pay for itself? And so say, okay, the squeeze machine, how does it pay for itself? It's saving my back, it's saving my body, it saves me time, it allows me to do things I could never do without it. So how much is all that worth? Well, you can quantify that and say, okay, well there's some how much would somebody charge me for if I had to pay somebody to do this? How much would that cost? Because I've had to pay those things before because I didn't have the equipment.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, one of the most expensive costs in business is manual labor.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
because
labor is one of your biggest inputs in business.
and the thing that helps to free that is mentality. Because when you didn't have the truck, you still had to do the work, but you had to find a way to be able to get the truck, right?
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, was it worth it to get a truck, or should I have somebody else haul it? Well, I have to give up some of my time, but I'm willing to give up some of my time so that I can save money, and I can learn how to do this, so I can continue to grow what I'm doing, and I don't have to pay somebody to do it. So the thing is, you have to analyze all your metrics in business, and you have to understand what that basically, when you can get your inputs down, and you can use economies of scale, which is that's what it is. A semi is an economies of scale. It's doing things on the largest possible carrying unit or vehicle that you can do it. So then your time. So if you have a vehicle that's smaller and it can't carry as much, so you have to spend more time to carry the same amount. So then your economies of scale show that when you look at something like a semi, it's able to carry more units on the same road, just on a bigger vehicle, and it cuts down the amount of time and fuel and everything over that, because it's, while the vehicle may be spending more fuel, it's carrying more and it's spending less time carrying that, and so those things pan out to be better to do it that way, and it makes it more profitable.
So when your vehicle broke down on you, and you had to because you had which truck did you start with? What was the first load of hay that you delivered? Do you remember that first load of hay that you delivered? That first customer?
Actually, what happened is we had that white cargo trailer that we moved here with,
Mm-hmm.
and we started putting hay in there, and then it wasn't designed for that, and it wasn't right, and so we moved some loads of hay in that, and we went all the way down to Eloy. And we went all the way down there and drove all the way there, got hay, and paid for some hay, and brought that back here and sold some. Well, actually, Dad went and got a credit card and bought some hay and brought some hay back here to feed the horses. And I said, "Why you putting this money?
No, it's not snowing up here.
You put this money on the credit card, and how am I supposed to pay for this?"
So
And
he had
I said,
fronted it, right?
no, he put the money on the credit card.
How much money did he put on?
I don't remember exactly. It was probably like $1,000 in hay.
Was that an amazing amount at that time? You didn't know how you were going to pay that, right?
I said, "Well, how are you going to pay for this?" And he said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, you know what? This is good hay. People will buy this. I'm going to try to sell this."
Okay.
And
so at that time, you didn't know how.
So I started selling like one bale at a time, two bales at a time.
Okay, so hold on. So who did you sell your first bale of hay to?
I don't even remember, because that's how long.
Do you remember the first person you sold your first bale of hay to? Think about it. You remember you got the bales of hay. You had just gotten $1,000.
The hay was over there near the barn. I was storing in the little stall, or comparatively the space I have, I was storing in the stall. We had all this space over here, obviously, but we weren't using it like we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started out small, and then started growing from there, and then, and we were using that blue F-250 that we had. That thing was breaking. The engine, had to rebuild the engine 2 times. The thing was in the shop all the time,
So you were running across some times with some real challenges. So your truck broke down multiple times?
I learned about when to drive, because the heat takes a toll on the vehicle.
So you had to learn how to use that vehicle.
It takes a toll on you.
Okay.
So
what are some of the tools that the job that you have took on you?
We have to look at anything, like I'm saying, before the squeeze. What are you going to do? You're going to have to do most of that moving by hand and lifting and moving things around. There's nothing there to help you move all this hay.
Right.
This is all stuff by hand. And then you have no building to store it in, so you got to tarp stuff, and you got to, So
you were losing hay because of it?
There was times, yeah, because this year hasn't been that bad. We haven't had much rain, and we haven't had that much wind.
Mm-hmm.
But there were years where it was torrential rain, and if you didn't have that whole hay covered properly, you were going to lose hay that you couldn't sell for, horses and stuff. So you'd lose money on it, basically.
So you had a business loss at certain points.
Yeah, every business is going to have a loss, but it's depending upon where that loss is going to happen. Whether it's going to be through an accident, or it's going to be through whatever can happen. There's different things that can happen in different businesses.
But what kept you focused?
It's like in life, when you have ups and downs, you know that if you finish out the course and you stay in the fight, that you'll get lucky breaks, and you'll get people that will come into your life that will help you, and you just have to be there to weather the storms. Because if you're just a fair weather person, then you're not going to be there for the good days. Because you can't just live for the good days.
Because nothing is
not deal with any bad things happening.
Yeah, because if you don't have If you don't have challenge, then you don't have anything to overcome.
Well, you don't have growth either. I mean, if you don't, if you got to take the good with the bad, and you got to learn how to roll with the punches, and you got to learn how to deal with the business cycles, because there's gonna be times where you're not gonna make any money. There's gonna be times where you're gonna just be like, I can't even work enough hours in this day because there's so much going on. So it's like you have to balance this. But life is all about balance. You know, that's what it is at the end of the day. It's all in balancing what you're doing. You know, you can't just be all one sided and stuff. You have to be well rounded. You know, and capable of taking on, you know, the adventure that you're embarking on, which in business is, you know, it's played with, you know, depending upon your business, it's played, but property, plant, and equipment, and you know that's pretty much what it is, and all the things that go and tell with that, legal and so forth. You know, I mean, business is a lot more complicated than people understand. They think business is just like, I sell you a product and it's done. No, there's a lot more going on behind the table and behind the scenes that people do not understand unless they've been in business and they start to understand all the things that are going on with that.
Well,
Business, business. You can enjoy business if you know how to play it right. It's like, you know, you're gonna enjoy a game, right? If you know what you're doing and you're doing well at it, right?
sure.
If you, that's what it comes down to.
Well,
You know.
I mean, a lot of those challenges that, like, sitting down here, doing different things and putting one's mentality into place where we're focusing, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of times when you travel down to the valley and you're having to travel at midnight, right?
Well, like in the summer, it depends. Like, you know, like if I go to that farm that I went to, I'll probably go there, leave here, and get there and rest, and then wait until that way I'm there first light that they're willing to load the truck. So I mean, you have to be willing to do things that other people won't do today in order to have things tomorrow that other people won't have.
For sure.
So
Each of us is going to have those kinds of challenges, and anything that we want to do well, we're going to have to focus through our challenges, you know, like, and a lot of those challenges that we face off against are going to come from within. They're going to come from our ability to focus and to be in a place where we have the ability to overcome our challenges, you know, and it's inside of ourselves that we overcome our challenges, you know. Uh, Blessings. Hello. How you guys doing on this holiday? You know, I really am try and start opening up a positive chat, but I just want to make sure that everybody that calls in, it's a positive call in. That, you know, we're talking about mentality and Christmas and and focusing, and you know, we just had my brother on. I can't, Derek, because if you put that on, it'll shut me off of Facebook. They actually instantly logged that video out. It'll destroy the whole video that you put down.
really, you can't play anything, huh?
Actually, we do get quite a bit of people on here, positivity. I created a whole network of motivation, meditation, inspiration. Next year, I'm going to be working on coming out with with a. So the people on Periscope want to say hello to Derek. So, um, that I'm going to be coming out with in this next year. I'm going to be trying to come out with a clothing line for motivation, meditation, and inspiration. Want people to actually see that, and he actually is. He actually runs a nonprofit here in Chino Valley. It's called Fire Sky Ranch. It's equine rescue. um, where we actually rescue horses and do hay delivery. He was talking about some of the challenges that he had to go through to get to the point where he is now, and working through it, and the things that happened over the last couple of years. This was
Oh.
years ago, actually. We actually haven't done that in probably, I don't know, 20 years? No, 15 years. Blessed. It's a blessing. And so, um, a lot of us are are out there in the holidays. Like, we're just sitting down here. We're getting down with the mentality, and we're getting to the place where focus really matters, right? And we're just enjoying this holiday, and we're here on the 24th of December, opening up a motivation, meditation, inspiration chat, talking to people about focus, knowledge, and discipline. Looking forward in the next year to getting some of these shirts going for people, huh? So if you'd like to actually get a hold of one of these shirts in the upcoming year, please let me know, because I will be getting them. Motivation, meditation, and inspiration.yoga. Also, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube. We got it on all of the platforms pretty much that matter. Looking forward in the next year to getting the podcast going. You know, been at this for over a year already. Derek, it's pretty cold in here, man. Do we have that heater going?
We do, but it's getting cooler outside.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of heat.
Yeah. So, was it a good day today? Did you get a lot of positive stuff done?
Well, I'd say it's a good day.
Yeah,
I had good conversations with people, and I had some things happen. So more things are going to happen, and things are going to happen the way they need to happen, and I will work to attract the people I need in my life, so I can keep growing and making things. You know how what I look at it is I this is a good time to take a reflection of your year and look at where you were last year this time, and think, okay, like, did I make some good substantial progress in this year? And at the end of the day, the way I look at it is that each day you should wake up and try to get things done, and end out the day better than you started. And if you can do that consistently every day, by the time that year is over, you'll have gotten a lot of your goals done and other things you didn't think you were going to get done, and you're going to look back and just say, wow, I think sometimes you look back and you're like, a year later, and you're like, I can't believe I came that far in 1 year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you see how many people I hit this year with actually videos? Like, I mean, this last year, I didn't make a lot. I made about 41 cents on my website. That's just people that are actually there. But Insight Traffic was actually, let's see here, the year, right? Look at how many people 1,092 people on Facebook. YouTube was 230. LinkedIn was 66. Instagram was 56. And downwards. Prescott, 7 people. Motivation, meditation, inspiration, 3 people. And I think I produced quite a few videos here, including the people on have about 29 people who are actually on WordPress itself, who actually subscribed. It's amazing, and like, it's like that kind of stuff where they just share, like how many people have actually got those signs, Derek, and actually somebody else called you from the signs?
I've had people call me before, and I mean, I this is how See, all this stuff comes down to, some stuff I've learned, and I was just looking up because I knew I needed to make my signs more professional, and so people could see them.
Mm-hmm.
And people, I've had people even comment because they're driving around. They're like, yeah, I see, because they see the same sign here at the front gate, and they're like, yeah, I saw your sign over here, and I saw your sign over there, and it's like, yeah, everybody's gonna have the number. Signs are great because, I mean, you know, in the right place. I mean, how many people are gonna see that sign? And if that's something somebody's looking for, they're gonna stop and they're gonna call that number or message that number. It's just gonna happen because it's something they're looking for, and you're offering that, and they want to know more. And and signs are cheap. Advertising on TV and radio and stuff, that costs a lot of money. But putting a sign out there doesn't cost. What does that cost? I mean, especially when you have made like 100 signs, and like the ones I had that were, printed on misprints, and they were recycling signs and stuff like that is the cheapest and the biggest. And I mean that. What do you think the return on a sign is? I mean, one sign, if it brings if it brings a good sell or whatever, it just paid for like 100 signs, more than 100 signs, and those signs are still out there. you know, I mean, with radio and all this stuff, you can reach a larger market, but the thing is that how much are you paying for that to be run? And if you're not targeting a specific market, like if you're targeting your neighborhood or whatever it is, that's a way for people to locally know. So
We got to
they
support
see it,
local
they know it.
businesses. It's really nice to see other local businesses succeed too.
Yeah.
Like when we went over to get those van tires, that was a local business we were supporting. And a lot of times, local businesses will give better deals because they actually want to win your business. It's really a good thing when you actually help people out in your community. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's like it's better. It's better for people. It's better for them to support local businesses and smaller businesses that are unique rather than just always going to Costco and Walmart and all those places because I mean those are great places, but and not everybody, just like Amazon, they can't compete with those because they're the giants. But the thing is, at the end of the day, your local businesses, whatever business it is, you know, if people don't support them, they won't be here
well, no,
because
the
they
thing
don't
is
have the audience to
a lot of these
and
local
reach.
businesses and these people that work with their communities, what happens is it helps them out. Your neighbor might work for you.
Well, what it does is it's proven that a substantial percentage of the money that is spent locally on local businesses stays local. When you spend money on corporate giants like the ones I was talking about before,
Yeah,
that doesn't stay local. The majority, yeah, it provides some jobs for some people that stay here, but the majority of the money does not stay here.
and
It
it
goes somewhere else.
and it
So
could stay
it
here.
leaves your community. Yeah, when you spend money in your community with people that are locally there, that the majority of that money stays in the community.
And we need that to stay in our communities wide, Eric, because it helps people to actually have jobs in your community,
Well,
huh?
yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's like okay, if you spend money in your community and help, you know, small businesses in your community, then they're going to help other small businesses. It's just going to help the economy along better in your community. So, do you want to see a more prosperous community? Do you want people around you to be more wealthy, or do you want them to be struggling? That's the question. It's it's like they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, the thing is that everybody should be doing well around you. If they're not, then you're gonna have problems.
So if one's doing well, they should actually be doing small business.
Small businesses before this whole thing that happened, as we know, um, the whole big C or whatever you want to call it, um, the the thing is that small businesses, unfortunately, have been targeted and hit very heavily by this whole thing, unfairly, I feel. But uh, they were basically helping a lot of people to get right, lift people out of poverty and help people, feel a sense of fulfillment with their life, and that's all these different things that it does, and as well as not everybody wants to work for these big giants, you know, they want to do their own thing,
Exactly.
and that's unique.
Well, I mean, that's a place in which mentality lays, and there's a few different mentalities that actually exist, and one of the mentalities is to get tired with doing things for other people to start wanting to do it yourself, right?
Well, what's funny is like you speak of hay, and then everybody wants to know who I work for, you know, or who I'm doing this for, which basically I've been volunteering my time to help this whole thing. I haven't really, because the thing about business, like you said, I mean, it depends upon the business. I mean, that's why most businesses that, especially with this thing that's going on, they can't survive because they got shut down. They have employees that are working for them. So, all these different things that happen, they can't afford to survive, unfortunately, because they're not making money, and then they have employees, and they have to lay them off or furlough them or whatever they're doing, and you know the lifeblood of business is money, and unless there's money coming through the doors, and things happening, then you're not in business. And if that goes on for too long, then you basically lost a bunch of customers. You're just going to go out of business, basically. It can't stop like that, and that's why it's unfortunate that happened. Because I mean, okay, let's see, why did they shut down all those big corporate giants that I'm talking about? Huh? Why don't we make this fair? Make this a fair fight, or why don't we do this? Why don't we shut them down for like 3 weeks, and then like open up all the small businesses, and let's see what happens. Let's see how all those other companies fare.
That'd probably be an
Okay?
interesting thing to happen, because then the small businesses would probably take off and dominate.
Yeah,
That'd be great. A lot of people,
yeah.
a lot of people deserve a chance. Like we always think about the underdog. We think about the person who's getting their butt kicked. We want to pick up the person who's getting their butt kicked, and we forget the simplicity of just using what we have.
You know what people forget is that what made America wealthy and built the middle class was people having their own businesses. The
And that's a
silversmith
mentality.
and all
That's a
these different
hunter's
people.
mentality.
That's what made. That's why. So all those people, they were working for themselves, and they were keeping what they made, versus working for an hourly wage for some employer, and then taking whatever they could get.
And
You know
there's a difference between just getting whatever you can get and actually hunting for what you want, huh?
what it is it's entrepreneurs versus workers mentality.
You know,
You know
that's a liberation mentality when you start to free
no, but
yourself.
entrepreneurs are the people that are getting into business for themselves, and do freelance work, and do different things, and so they end up doing their own thing.
Yeah,
That's an entrepreneur. If you go into business for yourself, you are an entrepreneur.
Yep.
That's it. You're an enterprise. You are whatever it is you're doing, you're not a worker anymore. So, yeah, whether you want to say it's the hunter's mentality, and you go in and hunting, and keeping what you kill, or whatever, however you want to call it. Thing is, entrepreneurs, they look in the market, they see a need, they see a product and service they can offer, and they go about fulfilling that need. And that's why, okay, so why is somebody going to come here and buy hay? Or why is somebody going to do whatever they're going to do? You need to understand your customer and why they would come to you. What would they pay for what you're offering? That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about when I say that people think they understand business and they think it's so simple, but then when they actually start studying business like I've done, then they start to understand how complicated it is. It's like saying, oh, people say, okay, the human body. When they start looking at anatomy, they start realizing how intricate and how complicated the human body is. Okay, so they don't understand that there's things business is a science. There is a lot going on in business that people do not understand if they haven't taken the time to
sit
to
down and
learn
study
about
it.
it.
Yeah, that requires focus. And that requires when you have nothing using what you have.
That's why there's degrees in business.
Well, it comes from the mentality.
Well, the thing is that there's degrees in different, that's why there's doctors. That's why there's lawyers. That's why there's businessmen. That's why there's different things. Because why? Why can't everybody be a doctor, a lawyer, and a businessman all in one? I mean,
Because it's
you can
not
learn all
their
those things, but it
that
takes you a lot of time to
but
do all that.
that's because they don't focus the same. What you put your energy into, what you actually aim your mentality into, is what you're going to get. A lot of people have to be directed. They have to have somebody else with a plan. They don't come up with their own plan. That's why they call it a business plan. And so they have to follow somebody else's suit. So they don't free themselves.
Well, the thing is like even in business, I mean, like with those signs and all the stuff that I do online and stuff like this with marketing, in some businesses, that's somebody's job. And that's all they do.
Well,
I didn't even study marketing, but
no matter what,
I studied a little bit of marketing, but I'm learning as I'm going in some of this stuff because guess what? I didn't study all of it. Okay? And
sure.
I got a general degree in business, okay, business management. So, but the thing is, with a minor in entrepreneurship, but the thing is, that's what I'm saying. People they take degrees in accounting, in different forms of accounting, in marketing, in different forms of marketing, or whatever aspect of business you want to talk about. And that's the thing is, there's not just business management. Business management is like an overview of everything. Okay, it's like being a civil engineer. Okay, they understand different aspects of different things. Yeah, could you build a building? Yeah, but are you gonna understand like the plumber, the electrician, the you know HVAC guy does? No, you're not gonna understand all those systems
Well,
and everything that goes along within all the tools that are used and
that's
how
the
it's
reason why
built.
you
And
don't try to be a
you
jack
know,
of all trades. Okay? When you do something, you want to focus in on that something. Because when you focus in on what you want to achieve, when you focus in on that, when this is all you do, what happens is you can do it better than if you focused on multiple things. And that's called the billionaire's mentality. So they did a test between millionaires and billionaires. And what they found was that the people who focused on multiple things, they actually stayed in the $1 million range. You know, Derek?
well,
And
yeah,
and the people who wanted to focus the most allowed other people, and they allocated other people to do those things so that they could do what they wanted to do well enough to where that was the only thing that they did when they did that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
well, the thing is, what you're talking about is like what I can imagine with those people is they focus. Like I was watching something on a YouTube video, and they were showing. I think it's Spanx or something. This woman that was talking about how she became so wealthy because in the way she went about doing it, and she was just selling one product and it, spreading it over a bunch of stores and just stuff like that. And she was focused on one product, and then she sold a bunch of them and became wealthy because of that.
That's what it's
So,
about. And that's why when you see my videos, is actually I do video after video after video.
but you know what that is? It's specializing in one thing. Like people come
Yes,
here and ask me, would I like to do other stuff like pellets? Yeah, but at this moment in time,
it's not financially
it's not.
intelligent.
I'm gonna have to spend. So I'm gonna have to allocate resources to that. Maybe later on I'll have those resources to allocate to that.
Right.
But at this time, it makes more sense. And with my resources that I have, the limited resources that I have, to focus on getting more customers for the product that I'm able to handle and set up for.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's intelligent to focus on something to where you do it well. Because when you do things well, that's what I learned in sales, is that if you're going to do something, you need to believe in first you need to believe in your product. All else fails. You got to believe in your product. This means that if there's somebody else selling hay similar to yours, yours is always going to be the best hay that you got. They might have something else. You do with what you got. I'm going to do with what I got. So if you want to come to me to get something, you're giving customer service. So sales is customer service at the maximum level. That's why when we go places and you saw me and I was talking to those guys and like talking them up and I'm like, no, spend that much more. Do you know what I mean, Derek?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, what you need to learn, and that's what I'm saying in business. You understand your customer, and then you take time to talk to them and create a relationship, and then that person realizes that you don't just see them as a number, but you actually
Value.
they say, oh, this guy's cool. I like him. Because I can talk to him, and he you know and he listens to me, and he's willing to work things out. Or somebody, if you're just like, okay, here's the hay, boom, 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 gone. I mean, then they're gonna look like, what? Okay.
Well,
I
no,
guess
they
I
want to
guess
have an
like
experience. They
yeah.
want they actually want to come and sit down and they want to see where you're focused. They want a cause to have it be a part, and this is known in as feng shui, right? So what they did was in Asian countries they put their houses in certain ways that even the energy that is inside of the house is focused in that way. So what people search for the most is that energy. They want to see the energy and they want the energy to transform into their homes too, into their beings, into their process. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you know, it's with that kind of thing that even the Asian countries, the ways they build their houses are special. So you got a customer that contacting you. Somebody wants to buy a bundle, huh?
Yeah, I was just reading.
So it's when you leave an experience for other people to enjoy too. Like, each of us we we have something to offer, Derek, just in being ourselves, inside of our mentality. And I realized when I was selling cars that I had a customer who came into the dealership. Actually, it was a tent sale, and it was 100 degrees outside. And it was the first couple weeks that I was working, and I remembered that at this tent sale, there was this customer who came in, and they went to Walmart to buy, because it was inside the parking lot. They went to Walmart to buy um, baby stuff for their child, right? And they came across and they had no money, destroyed credit, just everything was destroyed. Like they were very poor, and they needed a vessel. They needed a transportation. Their van was breaking down on them. And not only was their brand breaking down on them, um, it was midnight when they came to buy a van from me. And so I remember working and willing to continue even when other people were quitting. It was hot and I was burning. And I remember the photo with my friend Francisco Reyes. There we were out there working as a team. And this deal almost didn't go through. They took the van home. They had to come back. We had to rewrite it twice. We had to rewrite it twice. I remember this day. And there's like, we almost fell apart, the deal. And then the next day after they came in, then they brought in their child who was handicapped. And they said the reason why we needed a van was so that we could take care of our kid. We got to get our kid to appointments, and our van is so high. And I just remembered just that experience of having the ability to be a part of that process. And it made me feel joy that, we can do jobs and feel happiness helping other people with just the simplicity of the things that we do in a daily, you know? And I'll never forget their face. I will never forget that ability, that experience to help somebody out with just being able to be a part of the process of focus. And that place and the willingness that I had to stay there that night when they needed that, drove me to sell cars for 2.5 years. That's what really brought me to the place where I didn't matter my level of education. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I continued, like I remember going and learning computer skills with telesales and stuff like that. When you hear me communicate on the phone and communicate with people and negotiate deals, I learned that because I was sitting in front of a computer all day going through recording after recording after recording and 200 120 plus calls coming in and sitting there and seeing other people cut next to me. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I remembered going and learning data entry, without being able to even spell. Like the first 2 months that I went to work for Chrysler, I couldn't even sell the credit application. I couldn't get it done, you know? And then I learned how to do the credit application, and I used the tool that I had, which was Google. I was typing everybody's name down like this. I couldn't even spell their name, Kirk. And I was selling cars. I was first and second place every month because it wasn't what I didn't have. People were helping me to help them. Because when you understand you're part of the process, the things that you want to achieve start to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like that sign. You went and delivered the hay for the guy, and now he might have friends down the road that he wants to help out as well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the interesting thing was I was sitting there in front of his gate doing some things, and then they figured out that I was there and all this kind of stuff. And this person drove by, and she was looking at the hay. She's like, "What kind of hay is that?"
Well, she needed it too, right?
Yeah, she was talking about hay, and she wanted my card and all this stuff. And she said, "What kind of hay is that?" I said, "It was Bermuda. I haven't seen Bermuda that looks like that." I was like, "Well, this is because when it was cut, and so it's different than what most people have and stuff like that." And so I know my product. I know where it came from. I know what it is. I know all this kind of
But
stuff.
remember when we went to that guy and we bought hay? Remember that orchard that we bought in Williamson? And the guy was like, "I know these bales are good." You know, he made that, and he sold that hay to us. And that feeling is a part of the process.
Well, what's interesting is like Les Brown, motivational speaker. He said in
Is
one
he your
video,
favorite motivational speaker? Who's your favorite?
He's definitely one of them. I would say he's what I like about him is like he was talking about. He said you have to bring energy and positivity and motivation to people because you have to people have to feel that energy, and they have to feel what you're putting out, and that way they actually are interested in what you're talking about and they can feel that energy.
Well, how do you produce that with your customers?
It starts in the marketing process, wherever that is. Like I try to, like, okay, when I made my sign, I tried to put all the positive energy I could into it and make it something that I felt would catch people's attention and then in this case, it got all these signs and something that somebody would actually want to put on their vehicle or their fence. And they say, this, and they feel good about it because it's for a good cause. So like, okay, equine rescue. What is equine rescue? Well, there's a product that it has. So I mean, people look at that. I mean, I didn't expect somebody was gonna call me and say, "Oh, I've got bags of straw here. Can you use them for your rescue?" It's like I didn't expect that. But that sign brought. I mean, if it wasn't for that sign and the person reading equine rescue, that's what I mean. Even though hay's bigger than that, they saw equine rescue. This is what the person was focusing on, looking at, and the person, knew I had most likely had animals.
And
So
that's a blessing because you're using the process, right? And when you're helping out other people, people want to help you out too.
well, and the thing is like people show up here and they're like, "Yeah, I'm here because of the rescue," and they start asking about the rescue. They start asking about the horses. Start asking about how many animals are here, and well, this different stuff. They have all those. Those are usually general questions they have.
Well,
You know,
yeah. I mean,
because they're interested. So that's it's why did they show up here rather than down the street? Well, that's why.
well,
You know.
I believe that has
So,
more to do with manifestation. That has to deal with the mentality.
well, and also like a constant marketing because the person, I ask people, I say, so where, they tell me sometimes they come out, some they call my sign, they say, I'm looking at your sign here, where are you at, located, or message me, and then other people, they just call me or they're recommended. I mean, some people recommend me, and I'm just like, like you come with high recommendations from this person, and so I mean that's one of the best
Okay, well, let's
things that
talk
somebody
about that
could
a little
do for
bit.
you is recommend you to somebody else.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Recommendations. How important are recommendations, Derek?
It's proven that in recommendations, more people are likely to contact you. I mean, people will do that all the time. They put it on there on Facebook, and you see it in groups, and they're like, "I'm looking for this kind of person, whether it's electrician, plumber, whatever it is." And if your name comes up, and in some cases in comments I've watched it too, if your name comes up multiple times, or people, I've seen it, and I've been linked to it, and I see my name come up because people ask about hay or they ask about whatever it is, and they ask about these things,
Merry Christmas.
and they
Derek, somebody by the name of Leroy Brown is saying Merry Christmas to us here. And we're having a conversation. We're doing some backtracking here about mentality, right, Derek? And the last year we're talking about business and the holidays and just having a good time, just relaxing, just looking back at how great this last year was. What was your favorite part of this last year, Derek? What was it?
um just just being able to have a squeeze, and I mean, there was some really good things that happened, but I mean, without the squeeze,
So
it would have been a really tough year
when did you get that piece of equipment?
in the beginning of the year. I think it was January, February, or somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you just got it right before it came, huh?
that's what I'm saying. I said we didn't have this squeeze, and that 550 came when that came on the truck. I knew that we looked into that to getting these, and then we ended up with this piece of equipment, and I knew I needed a bigger truck to complement it. And I said, okay, with those two pieces of equipment, this is going to be a game changer, and it sure was. Because now I can load and I can do unload, and I can do all kinds of moving of hay in the yard,
Do you remember the
and
day
then I
it
can
became
also
a
go
game changer?
deliver on a bigger, on the same size truck without a trailer into people's yards,
Well, let's
and
talk
that's
about game
freaking
changers.
amazing.
Well, Derek, how did it feel when you started to be able to get more going?
Well, see now what happened before? Here's where I was. So I was like, man, it's gonna cost a bunch of money. Put money, and I don't know. When this thing gets here, I'm gonna have to evaluate this thing because I bought it online, so I didn't know what I needed. And I was worried that there might be bigger things than what I could actually see. And there were some things, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't overall wasn't bad. And um, I was just like, okay, once this gets here, we're gonna see how this goes. And then once I was able to start learning how to work with the equipment that I had, and then things started rolling, and then before it was like pulling teeth because it was so much work to move all this hay around this yard and then go deliver to people and have them pick up and stuff like that, and I had to do everything manually. And then when this showed up, and it basically took 75% of the work out of the
Now, let me
equation
ask you,
right
how
off the
many
bat.
years did it take before you got a piece of equipment that actually started to set as a vessel? Like, before you got this machine, how many loads of hay were you delivering?
Oh, I was delivering all kinds of loads like you saw me do,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having to do everything by hand, load it on the truck by hand, and just take this to this person and unload it and do that all over the place, or load people's trucks when they came in, stuff like that. And I had people in this, like, they'd be like, well, where's your squeeze? I'd be like, are you gonna get me tens of thousands of dollars here? I mean, do you realize how much that piece of equipment costs?
So at what level did you focus to the point where you finally got that? Did you have to put a vibration into a mentality?
Basically, what ended up happening was my back was hurting so bad
You were using
that
the
all I had to
tools.
do was look at hay and think about moving it, and my back started hurting. And so
So
I was like, I'm done. If I don't get this, I'm just done. So it was like, what happens sometimes, you set your standards and you're like, you know what? I want to do this, but I can't do it this way. So either I get this and I make it happen, or we're gonna figure something else out. But I was like, you know what? I'm determined. I know this is gonna make the difference.
you had to
So
focus.
yeah, and then I had to find the money, and things came together in the universe. And I started focusing on this particular machine because I've seen other machines in the past. And I was like, I don't know if that's the machine, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the time. And then at the point that I saw this machine, I started looking for machines online. Then I showed it to Dad, and I said, Dad, we have to get a machine. There's no way. I said, you're gonna get a machine. You're gonna get. I mean, and then he's like, yeah, you're right. Like, we have to, or you're gonna break your back. And I said, yeah, like, we have to do this. And he's like, yeah. So now you're ready for this machine? I said, yeah, I'm definitely. And I said, I think this is the one. I just had the feeling when I looked at that machine. I said, this is my machine.
Are you excited for the forklift?
Yeah, it's
That's
gonna
a
be
five
interesting.
thousand pound forklift capacity, Derek. We're gonna be able to move a lot of. You know what that thing's gonna be good for is railroad ties.
Mm-hmm.
That that's why I saw that thing and I was willing to foot that for you. Because that machine can move railroad ties. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been doing here. I've been building a community, and I think in the next year, I'm probably gonna have to put that 1,000 down that you did there on clothing. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to buy 1,000 of these, Derek. Do you see these right here? And I'm gonna start selling them the next year. Once I get
That
this,
company that made those signs, they do that too. I was looking at that. They make all kinds of marketing stuff. They make videos. See, that's the thing. In companies, they learn whatever company it is, they know that they have to do more than just make products.
well,
Making a
yeah,
product or offering a product and service, that's all great and everything, and but there's more that goes into all this. And people can feel that energy, like we were talking about. People feel the energy that you put into places.
and then they want to
It's like
help.
that's why I want to clean this place up, and I want to change the energy, and I want to make it nicer. And then people will come here and they'll see it and they'll say, "Wow, that's a nice place. They're nice people. They offer a good product at a good price and a good service." And you see what I'm saying? They start weighing all these things. They think about all these things. They look at all these things. But people, it's not just, oh, here's the product and it's this price and have a good day.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to it than that.
well, that's a great thing that starts to happen when you start to help out other people, though. And I think that person might have been searching for that hey, you know? They were coming to the front of there to search for something like that, and their horses might be without hay. Did you reach out to that person, Dirk,
Which person
who asked the question today?
asked the question?
Mm-hmm.
Which question about what?
About hay.
Um, the Are you talking about the person that I delivered to?
Mm-hmm.
What about them?
So you said somebody else came by today, right?
That somebody came by today, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that person came by for and I wasn't here. I was on delivery.
Did you reach back out to them, Derek?
Oh yeah, I took care of it, and then then they came and they got the hay, and I can't be here, but Dad or whoever can be here. So
Right.
that's
Hopefully
that's
my hopefully my wrist heals in a few weeks or so.
I mean, so that's what I've learned to do. I've learned it. That's another thing you have to learn to do in business, because you can only be in one place at one time doing one thing at one time. So you have if things get crazy on you and you have resources of people to help you, then you just have to reach out and let them know, and if they're willing to help you, hopefully, then they can help you out. Because that's the thing, you can't, as things go busier and stuff like that, and especially if you have, a delivery to do and there's people that want to come to your place, I mean, what are you going to do? Unless you have, you know, you're only one person, so you can't, unless you have somebody delivering and you be here, or you have, so you got to, that's why usually, a place like this that's doing deliveries and then having stuff here, they're um, they have two people basically, or that person stays there.
Well, I've been helping
That's
out a
usually
lot
what
this year.
happens. You know.
I helped out a lot this year. A lot this year. We had 190 bales we had to go deliver quite a few times.
Yeah, but you see what I'm talking about?
Right.
I mean, I don't have 190 something bells.
We're going to answer this guy's name is Derek. Derek, meet Derek. My name is Marcel, but
there's a few Derek's out there.
Me and my brother are having a conversation here, just enjoying the year here. And
please tell me a Christmas joke.
Okay. How you doing, Derek?
I say, hi, my name is Carl. I'm an MBA student from the University of California.
Blessings. How you doing, Carl?
Please tell me a Christmas joke.
Well, I just want you to be happy in this year. And Santa Claus came down the chimney, but he forgot the presents up top. So how does he get back to the top? He goes ahead and tries to run around the house, and as he's running around the house, he slips on the chimney, and old Saint Nick comes back down the chimney with your presents. Merry Christmas.
I want to like this all in pink, and a dad who doesn't drink.
All right, so we definitely disconnect that there. So we all have a part of ourselves that searches out for that kind of a little bit of a Christmas, and I do want you to be having a Merry Christmas, Derek. And so where do we go to the place inside of ourselves where we start to see those types of things happen? And it's pretty cool, Derek, that you got to sit down with yourself until you got to the point where you needed a piece of equipment, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just there comes a time that you're just like I can't do this like I was doing, and it's like I was able to manage for a little while, but I mean, just like man, and then you're just like I think we're getting pretty close here to the time where we're gonna get this equipment. That's about it. You have. I had a lot to go through apparently before that happened. I was like, man, I wish I had this a long time ago. But I mean, I managed, and I sometimes you got to go through the hard times to realize when you got something, then you realize what you got.
Yeah. Well, the thing is to continue to the point where you're able to do things that others can't do, so you can achieve things that others won't, huh? And that's what happened. That guy was asking you who employs you, because the only person who he is thinking could do that is somebody who has an employer. You know what I mean, Derek?
Mm-hmm.
And we all do. end up with challenges. It's how we find the way to overcome the challenges.
Yeah.
And the way in which we overcome challenges, a lot of us, is by what goes on around us. But what matters the most is actually what's going on inside. You know, when you're asleep, like for instance, you slept down below in the valley, and then after you slept in the valley, you ended up picking up amazing hay, huh? And would you have done that if you had not spent the night down there? So,
Well, not that early, but I've learned that sometimes you just got, thankfully I have a sleeper, but I've learned that sometimes you just have to say, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm not worried about it because, maybe I wasn't meant to pick this up this afternoon. I needed to do what I needed to do there and then come back and then just chill out over here and watch some videos and relax and rest and then get what I need to get and get back. And I just said, it's just, you have that's what I've learned because you have to be willing to sacrifice and do some things sometimes that other people won't do.
there we
That's
go.
the only way you're gonna get
If
ahead.
you're not willing to sit down and grind at whatever you do, if you're not willing to sit down when other people say, hey, are you going to quit? Then you can't achieve what? Nothing, right? And it's the people who are willing to do that are willing to sit down and to grind it out, who end up achieving what? They sit in their car, they sleep in their van, they sleep in their camper at a farmer's house so they can pick up the hay so they can bring it up here so that the next day the person will come and buy it, right? And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to continue when other people say, hey, this is dull or this is dumb, when you're willing to sleep in that car and spend 5 hours extra that other people weren't able to do, then you see it the later date, the next page, right? The next day, what happened? You brought the hay up. What happened? That person bought that hay. It was because you're willing to sleep in that camper there that they came up here and bought the hay. So the mentality actually was what mattered the most. It was going to sell anyways. And a lot of people might think that's dumb for you to sleep in your car. Why don't you just go home? But sitting there eventually what would happen? You would get the right product, right?
Well, kind of what I knew is that if I tell them that I'm going to sleep here, I'm going to stay here, and I'm willing to be here, in the morning when you come to load me, that they know I'm serious about this situation. That I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I didn't just come down here for a picnic.
That's it. And a lot of people, they go and they get the picnic story. They go and find the picnic story. Oh, it's okay. Just quit. Just quit on what? Yourself? Quit on yourself. A lot of people quit on themselves, Derek. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Spend 16 grand on a vehicle to get it fixed. Doesn't even drive it for Uber Eats, Uber Freight.
Well, the thing is that you never know. And that's the thing. Also, that Les Brown. It was Les Brown that talked about it. You never know. There's a lot of good quotes from him talking about this and related to this topic about how there's no guarantees in life and there's no guarantees tomorrow. So why are you gonna just act like there's always tomorrow to do something when you could do something today?
That's my point. That is what I'm talking about.
So it's like, if you can do something today, why wait till tomorrow?
Well, no guarantee there.
And there's no guarantees in life. No guarantees. So.
Well, the only guarantee is that if you work hard, and I don't mean for somebody else, if you work hard for yourself, there will be a day when it pays back.
Well, there's another one that's funny that Les Brown said. He said that they're up there looking at you, and they're saying, look at this guy. He's relentless. He doesn't care what happens. He's still going. You know, let's let this guy go on through. You know, let's target another one that's like, you know, not got this drive and this motivation to get things done. You know,
And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, folks. What Derek just said. It's about being relentless. It's about continuing even when your equipment fails, right?
you know there's
When
going to be
your
failures.
vehicle
You know
was
there's
going
going to be problems.
when your vehicle was going in the shop and you only had one truck, what did you do? When you had repairs?
I just had, it sucked, but I had to work on what I had. I mean, I had a lot of business going on at that time as well, and it was just, I had to do what I needed to do, you know?
And what is that you needed to do? What is that you needed to do? Not let it stop you, right? Not let it block your brain. Not let that challenge. What about right now? What about the forklift being down? You know? What happened? You grab the squeeze machine. If you don't got a forklift, you grab chains with a squeeze machine and you pick it up anyways, right? Use a different kind of forklift. Your mind. The mind is the thing that we disable ourselves with. We disable ourselves with our own mentality. And that's what happened when I was selling cars. I'd be going and selling cars and I'd be getting my butt kicked. And it was inside of the mind that picked me back up. You know?
Yeah, look at this guy. This guy's asking me about selling railroad ties.
We were just talking a minute ago.
You know that?
We were talking
That's
about.
Interesting.
We were just
The
talking.
guy has a storefront.
And he wants railroad ties?
He's talking about selling these, and he's asking me all about railroad ties and how to sell them, and what he thinks what I think he could sell them for, and you know if they're popular, and about meeting him at a store. And this is what I'm talking about, though.
Maybe we could supply the guy with railroad ties.
Oh, I know I could.
Maybe we can bring the railroad ties to the guy and supply the guy with railroad ties.
Yeah, and there'll be people that will want certain products. That's what it's all about, folks. Because I can tell you what, you know, you need to work with the resources that you're given, and people will come into your lives when you least expect it, wanting to do something that you're just like, this is off the wall, but you know what? Let's see what sticks. You know. So I mean, it's like, you know, there was another one. I think it was great. There was a guy who was talking about skateboarders, and he said like this: people that have talent that aren't willing to work, versus people that don't have talent but are willing to work. That person that was willing to work will eventually surpass the other one, and that you only land. How does it go? You won't always land 100% of the tricks you go for, but you if you don't try at all, the ones that you don't try, you will never land. So you need to try, and try, and then eventually you'll start landing. You start landing, you get better, and you'll land more.
Well, I think
you know?
Arnold Schwarzenegger talks best about this one. Actually, he says, little victories add up. He got his first trophy, and then he got a second trophy, and a third trophy, and ultimately it led to being Mr. Olympia. You know,
Little victories.
little victories add up.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger talks.
Well, that's
about,
what I'm saying. It's like if you look at it, like to me, that's what I'm saying. When I think about it, you got to think of. I mean, to somebody, you know, one load of hay may not be a big deal, but I start thinking in my head. I start thinking, there's that load, and then or this delivery, and that delivery, and this person picked up hay. That person got delivered. This person picked up hay. This person wanted ties. This person wanted a horse. That person wanted this, and then it starts adding up, and you look back, and you're like, wow, that was a lot of stuff. At the time I didn't think much about it, but then you start looking back and you just start looking at it, and you're just like, man, there's all kinds of stuff happening here. I'm just seeing it happen now. I'm just looking back. It's like what was it? Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking back.
Yeah.
So that's what you gotta realize. You gotta trust going forward. You know, do your best with what you got, and work to improve the situation.
Well, also you need to create something that has a need. People search out things that they need, and they find people who help them out and help out others.
Well, what people are looking for is, you have wants and needs, okay? That's why the entertainment industry, people know that people want to be entertained. So there's a market for that. But also a need, okay. So does somebody need a green bale of hay? No, but they want that. That's fulfilling a need, but they want that. They want something that they can say to somebody, look at this. This is beautiful. This is nice. Could they get away with something of lesser quality? Yeah. But they don't want that. So there's needs and wants. And so you have to learn, how do I deal with that? How do I deal with somebody with giving them, fulfilling their need, but having them want what I have that fulfills their need. So that's what I'm saying. That's business.
Yeah, that's happens every business.
Because and so it's like the equine rescue. People want to help the rescue. How do they help the rescue? Well, a lot of them, if they have animals, they can buy hay and they can help the rescue. It's a win-win situation right there.
Well, it's reaching into a niche, Derek. Each of us find that place where we sit down with ourselves. But a lot of us go to somebody else to seek out that niche. But each of us have that place inside. If we put our attention to it, if we put our mentality to it, if we put ourselves in a place where we start to utilize our niche. Like last night, for instance, I was out at a store, and a guy sat down in there, and we started talking about motivation, meditation, inspiration. Seeking out that stuff. And
Where?
At a store. Getting.
I wasn't there. I don't think.
No, I was.
Yeah.
And this guy, I pulled up motivation, meditation, inspiration. He goes, "Wow, I'm gonna start following you."
Yeah.
I'm thinking eventually I'm gonna have to wear clothes with this marketing on it. You're gonna need to get to the point where all your shirts and stuff. You're gonna need to get.
Hey, but wasn't that a step though? Like, I mean, I didn't think about that, but that just came. That's what I'm saying. Little things come to your mind.
Well, we need to get shirts.
We
need to get
I
shirts.
know.
I need to get shirts.
I was talking to Dad about this, but I'm saying little things come to mind because it's like with putting those signs on my headache rack on my truck, and thinking about where things start to come in and that's like what Les Brown also says. He says things start clicking. He's like if you get thrown into the deep end of life, you'll start realizing you either do one of two things. You start developing amazing swimming skills, or you're going to swallow half the pool.
And that's a great thing.
And things start coming to you when you start developing those skills. Things start coming to you. You start thinking, "Oh, I can do this." Ideas start rolling, and you're just like, "I never thought about this, but it just start coming into my mind." It just start happening. I mean, to me, I was like, how many people do you see going down the road with the signs? All these people with these flags and stuff, like political flags and everything, but how many, and maybe some signs on their doors and stuff for their business. But how many people tie a sign like that to the headache rack, or like I was talking to the guys, like I'll tie these to my trailer, I'll tie them to this, I'll tie them to that. People will see the advertising.
Yeah. Well, people start to see it.
People see it and they're like, okay, well, all the information that I need is right there. In a little sign, and they have everything they need to contact me and know what I'm offering. In one sign. So I mean, it's just things come to you as you're progressing. It doesn't all come to you at once. It comes to you line upon line, and here a little and there a little as it's being shown to you what to do and how to do it.
Well, it's learning. It's studying and learning. It's actually sitting down and studying. Yeah? Wouldn't you say there's a bit of learning that's learned through working with business, Derek?
There's school hard knocks. I'll say that. You're not going to know everything. You're going to look back and you're going to realize that you learned a lot.
And isn't that a joy to have learned?
You know what? Through all the learning and everything, it makes you who you are. And you can choose however you want to react to whatever happens to you, which is basically your things are going to happen to you, and some things you have way beyond your control, and some things are in your control. And at the end of the day, it's how you react to it, and those are the things that are in your control.
And it's inside of your mentality, right? It's when you focus.
Well, it's your mentality and your attitude.
And you don't let the
things.
things that happen around you stop you from focusing.
Well, it's like, people could focus on all the bad things. They could focus on all the bad people. They could focus on all the things that go wrong in their life or somebody else's life, or they can choose to focus on the positive. They can choose to focus on the good things they have.
And that's Newton's third law.
On what they do have.
For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you cannot see that negative and turn it positive, if you can get to the mentality to overturn that kind of mentality where you start to use it to your advantage, then you start to. And that's where Einstein put a quote out that says, become a friend with the universe. Because when we sit down and we focus to the place where the universe starts to work and it starts to become a part of who we are, to focus in that way, things start coming your way. Do you know what I mean? And they test you both ways. When everything is working, that's when positive and negative forces start working. And when we see past that and we actually see to the place where positive and negative live, then you start turning towards positivity. You know what I'm saying? And that's where a body in motion stays in motion.
The thing is momentum.
And you get momentum by being positive.
Yeah, and that's why you work like Will Smith was talking about, beating on your craft. That's why you constantly are learning. You're constantly improving. You're constantly thinking about better ways to do things, more efficient ways to do things. It's like me, I didn't have all those signs, but I started thinking, I need to get these signs out there. I need to get these signs on vehicles. I need to get these signs around the neighborhood. I need to get this picture digitalized, and I need to put this in part of my marketing. I need people to see this. I need people to want to know more. I need to think about the wording and the way I'm attracting people, and focus on those good people coming, and see those good people coming.
Well, not just good people, because not always good people are going to come. People who are driven towards you in a positive way, who are coming to see the positivity. See, because they could go do not so good things. So what we're talking about is people that are coming to help you in your own vibration, Derek. They're coming to you for positive reasons. They're coming to bypass that and to see that mentality, and that's why the experience and the needs and the wants start to become fulfilled. And when we're willing to help other people, we receive more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing people don't realize is like the way, and that's the beautiful thing about business. It's like, okay, in business, if you learn how to best help your customers, and they realize, well, wow, this guy actually cares about me, and is working with me here, and willing to hear me out, and balance things and make things work, then versus other companies that are just like, it's, if this isn't good for you, go elsewhere. It's like there's no give and take here. There's an obviously acceptable level there, but there's thing is, people need to be able to see eye to eye and work with each other. That's what
and
they understand.
And that is where you have to first study yourself, yeah? Before you can help other people, you have to be in a place where you use your own knowledge. We absorb focus. I was researching what focus actually is. Focus is where you put your attention. It's what you put your attention on. That's the center of focus, is where your attention is. And so when you use the knowledge that you have inside, which we all have, right? Like, for instance, remember you telling me that you fixed your transmission on your vehicle, right? It was only because you said, I'm going to focus until I have the point of attention where it has my full attention.
Fix the transmission on which vehicle?
On the truck. And so you wouldn't have been able to fix it unless you focused on it. And then the knowledge is already there. the ranger. And so,
Oh, you're talking about the
You-
problem that I had with the safety neutral switch.
yeah, so when you overcome it,
You have to. Sometimes when you have a complex system, you have to break it down into its parts. And when certain symptoms are being, that's how doctors work on humans. Is if you are exhibiting certain symptoms, then you have to break it down, and then you have to start eliminating and see why is one thing not working. What are the possible how do you say this, these symptoms that I'm seeing, what can possibly cause this? Sometimes there's 3, 4, 5, 6 or more different things that can cause that. So you have to go about it, okay, let me check this. Oh, this is working. There's different ways to check different things, and if they don't work, then it's like, hey, fix this. Did it stop? Well, it's a little bit better, but okay, so then let me go. And you just keep going down the line, and then eventually you check all the systems, you check everything. If you need to change a few different things or whatever, and you're like, okay, did that fix it? Yeah, okay, now it's fully fixed. Done.
well, you just take it a piece at a time, right?
Yeah.
One cube at a time, one calculation at a time, and you just take on the one, and then another one, and you work one thing at a time. When you master one, then you can master another. But without mastering one, there's no point in trying to move on, right?
You have to first fix the problem that you have in order for you to move on. Because it's like, okay, if your tire's flat, well, are you going to drive it very far? No, you're going to have to go fix that problem, then you can drive it.
Yeah.
That's just it. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to go drive down the road here with the flat tire. Well, okay, how far are you going to get with that?
Hello. So I guess we got a periscope there. So, well, that's a good thing, and it's a positive place to put the mentality in. We were talking about how to utilize the mentality in such a way. I'm going to go ahead and take a break here. I'm going to go ahead and post this up. It was a great conversation that we had there, Derek. I'll probably hop back on here in a few minutes, but just going to go grab some shakes and get some stuff going on here.
Here we go.
But,
like always.
Yeah, so I haven't been in results videos before.
So